Should you eat vegetarian? Would you still eat that, if it looked you in the eyes? That was the question, simple. Direct. Yet it pierced through everything I thought I knew. I remember exactly where I was, a busy downtown cafe on a cold afternoon. The kind of place with indie music playing too loud, and people scrolling endlessly on their phones, disconnected from the moment, from each other, and especially from what they were eating. I was halfway through a grilled chicken sandwich when a quiet man sitting across from me looked up and asked that question. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't accuse me of anything, he just asked, and suddenly, the moment froze. Would I still eat this, if it looked me in the eyes? That question didn't just change my lunch, it changed my life, because what started as a casual bite turned into the beginning of a spiritual storm, and in that moment, I realized, we don't just consume food. We consume choices, we consume karma. You see, we live in a world where the question, should I go vegan? Or is eating meat bad? Is tossed around in debates, health talks, or environmental documentaries, but very rarely do we stop and ask, what does it mean, spiritually, to eat another being, not just ethically, not just nutritionally, but deeply, karmically? In Buddhism, there's a teaching, all beings tremble before violence. All fear death. All love life. See yourself in others. Then whom can you hurt? We've heard quotes like that before, they sound poetic, gentle, maybe even idealistic, but when you're holding a sandwich and someone says, would you still eat that, if it looked you in the eyes? Suddenly, the words aren't just philosophical anymore, they're personal, because now, it's not about food, it's about mindfulness, it's about awakening, it's about the subtle violence we normalize, day after day, without even noticing. So that one question became a seed, and like every seed, it didn't grow overnight. At first, I brushed it off. Come on, it's just food, but deep down, something stirred, something ancient, something compassionate. I started to notice things I had never noticed before, the discomfort I felt walking through the meat section of a grocery store, the strange silence behind the cheerful packaging, the way children instinctively love animals, until we teach them not to. And then, I asked myself, what if compassion isn't just a feeling, but a practice? What if it shows up, not in temples, not in meditation halls, but in the smallest, quietest choices, like what's on our plate? This video is not about forcing you to eat a certain way, this is not a lecture, this is an invitation, an opening into a deeper awareness. In this journey, we'll explore what the Buddha actually said about eating meat, why some Buddhists are vegetarian and others are not, the hidden karma in our daily meals, and how one small shift in awareness can open the door to tremendous peace, clarity, and transformation. But before we go deeper, I want to ask you something. Look at your next meal, not with judgment, but with presence. Would you still eat that, if it looked you in the eyes? Because sometimes, the most unexpected question can awaken the deepest truth, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. We often imagine karma as something dramatic, a huge event, a lightning bolt, a divine punishment, but karma doesn't always come loudly. Sometimes, it whispers, sometimes, it comes in silence, like the moment we bite into something, never wondering who it once was. You see, every meal tells a story, but most of us have been trained not to listen. The sizzle of bacon, the golden brown chicken wings, the steak cooked just right. We focus on taste, texture, protein. We ask, is it organic? Is it gluten-free? Is it keto? But we rarely ask, was this life? And that silence, that space where we no longer ask, that's where karma hides. In Buddhism, karma is not punishment. It's not reward, it's the law of cause and effect, pure, neutral, unavoidable. What you do, you become. Not because someone is watching, but because you are watching, because your actions carve the shape of your mind, day by day, and the plate you choose to eat from, it carves too. Imagine this, you're sitting in front of a meal. You don't see blood. You don't hear a scream, everything is clean, quiet, sterilized. but just a few steps back, a different story was written: a chicken, born only to be fattened, a cow, separated from her calf, never knowing a moment of freedom, a fish, suffocating in silence, pulled from the depths it once called home, and we say, it's just how the world works. But here's the truth Buddhism invites us to see: the world doesn't work that way, we do. We've built systems, massive, industrial, invisible, to hide the karma from our eyes. We walk through grocery stores where suffering is wrapped in plastic and labeled with prices. We call it product. We call it dinner. But it was once a heart, a breath, a being. Now let's be clear, this isn't about guilt. Guilt freezes the heart, awareness awakens it. This is not about becoming perfect, this is about becoming conscious, because once we wake up to the truth of interconnection, that every life touches every other, we begin to see that even the smallest act of violence leaves a trace. The Buddha taught that intention is the seed of karma, Satanya Bhikkhave Kama Vadami. It is intention, monks, that I call karma, not just what we do, but why we do it. Do we eat because it's easy? Because we don't want to think, or do we eat with reverence, with the understanding that our body is being nourished by choices that shape not only our health, but our future? Many people say, animals are killed anyway. My choice doesn't matter, but in Buddhism, every act matters, every thought, every breath. And when we begin to see that even the food we eat carries a vibration, of fear, of pain, of love, of gratitude, we begin to understand the silent karma sitting right in front of us. This is not about becoming a monk. This is not about going to extremes. This is about asking, what kind of energy do I want to bring into my body? What kind of world am I helping to create, 3 times a day? Because maybe, just maybe, a more peaceful world doesn't start with politics, or protests, or sermons. Maybe it starts with something much quieter: a plate, a pause, and a choice. Let's be honest, there's a lot of confusion when it comes to Buddhism and vegetarianism. Some people say, Buddhists must be vegetarian, isn't that obvious? Others say, wait, didn't the Buddha himself eat meat? So, who's right? What did the Buddha really teach about eating animals? To find the answer, we have to go back, not just to modern interpretations, but to the very roots of the Dharma. To the original teachings, to the days when the Buddha walked the dusty roads of India, bowl in hand, accepting food from anyone who offered, rich or poor, clean or unclean, meat or rice. And the truth is, it's more nuanced than most people think. Let's start with a powerful line from the Pali Canon, the earliest record of the Buddha's words. In the Javaka Sutta, the Buddha says, monks, you should not eat meat if you saw, heard, or suspect that it was killed specifically for you. If not, then it is allowable. This teaching is subtle. And like all true wisdom, it goes beyond black and white. He didn't outright ban meat, but he placed a deep emphasis on intention, awareness, and the chain of harm. Here's what that means. Back in the Buddha's time, monks lived by alms. They didn't cook. They didn't shop. They wandered barefoot, bowl in hand, receiving whatever food was given, with gratitude, without discrimination. To refuse meat from a sincere offering could cause offense, or even pride. And remember, pride is also a form of ego. So the Buddha taught, if the animal wasn't killed specifically for you, if you weren't the cause of its death, then you may accept it. But if you saw, heard, or even suspected that the animal was killed with the intention to feed you, you must not accept it. Why? Because then, you become a link in the karmic chain. You inherit the weight of that act, even passively, even silently. This is where modern interpretation begins to differ. In the Buddha's time, food was offered. Today, we choose what we buy. We go to the store, look at shelves, select what we want, hand over money. And money is intention. It's a signal. It tells the system, do this again. So when we buy meat, especially in today's world of factory farming, can we really say we're not part of the cause? Can we say, I didn't kill the animal, when our choice directly funds the system that did? You see, the Buddha didn't teach in rigid rules. He taught with deep compassion for the complexity of life. He didn't impose commandments. He illuminated causes and consequences. His teachings were not about control. they were about awakening, awakening to how everything is connected, awakening to how our choices ripple outward, awakening to the subtle forms of violence we justify every day, not because we are cruel, but because we are asleep. And yet, there's something even deeper here. The Buddha once said, "All tremble at violence, all fear death." Comparing others with oneself, one should neither kill nor cause to kill. Dhammapada, verse 129, this is the heart of the teaching, not just about food, but about relationship, seeing ourselves in others, feeling their fear as if it were our own. Their pain, as if it were our own, not because it's moral, because it's true. So the question is not, does Buddhism require vegetarianism? That's a surface-level debate. The real question is, can we live in a way that reduces harm? Can we eat in a way that honors interbeing? Can we choose in a way that reflects awareness, not ignorance, not habit? In that light, the Buddha didn't command us to avoid meat. He invited us to look deeply, to look at the roots of our actions, the intention behind them, and the impact they leave on the world, and on our heart. Because the real practice is not what you eat, it's what kind of person you are while eating, mindless, or mindful, disconnected, or deeply present, cruel, even passively, or awake. Compassionate, aware. So next time someone says, Buddhists can eat meat, even the Buddha did, you can answer with calm clarity, yes, and he also said, do not eat if it was killed for you. Do not eat if it causes harm, do not eat in ignorance, because for the Buddha, food wasn't just nourishment, it was a mirror, and what you see in that mirror can change everything. Have you ever stopped, in the middle of a crowded grocery store, looked down at a clean, plastic-wrapped package of meat, and asked, where did this come from? Not which store, or which brand, I mean, who was this before it became this? Who had eyes, who breathed, who struggled? Most of us never ask that, not because we are heartless, but because we've been trained not to ask. Our culture has perfected the art of disconnecting consequences from convenience. We've built walls between the source of suffering and the end product that lands neatly on our plate. We've made violence invisible. We've wrapped it in packaging, sanitized it with marketing, and normalized it with tradition. Let me tell you a story. A little girl once visited a farm with her kindergarten class. She saw a chicken, bright feathers, beady eyes, pecking around the dirt. She smiled and asked the farmer, "What's her name?" The farmer replied, "That one." "We don't name them. They're going to be dinner next week." The girl froze. Her smile disappeared. She looked back at the chicken, now with different eyes. That moment, that shift, is called awareness. But here's the thing, that little girl, she grows up, she's told not to be sensitive. She's taught that this is just how the world works. She's taught to stop asking questions. And soon, she's back at the grocery store, buying the same meat, from an animal she would have named. This isn't just her story, it's ours. We live in a system that's designed to numb us, not by force, but by repetition, and repetition is powerful. It can turn atrocity into routine. It can turn the cries of a suffering creature into nothing more than a background hum, a sound we no longer hear. But the Dharma, the Buddha's teachings, invite us to listen deeply again, to see clearly, to feel fully, to remove the filters and face the truth, not out of guilt, but out of love, because compassion isn't just about grand acts of kindness. Sometimes, it begins with the courage to look where others turn away. Do you know how many animals are killed for food every year? Over 80 billion land animals, not including fish, not including what's unseen. That's over 200 million lives, every single day, slaughtered, often without mercy, often without necessity. Now pause, take a breath, imagine what happens to our collective consciousness, to our culture, our children, our own sense of self. When we normalize this level of destruction, what happens to our capacity for empathy, for stillness, for seeing life as sacred? We don't just harm animals, we harm our own humanity. Here's a line from Thich Nhat Hanh, a beloved Zen master: every time we kill and eat an animal, we are paying someone else to do the killing for us. And every time we ignore this, we numb a part of our own heart. This is not a judgment, this is a call to remember, to reconnect the dots, to awaken from a dream where suffering is hidden, and begin to live in truth. Now some people say, but I didn't do the killing, I'm just eating what's available. But here's the Buddhist perspective. Karma is not about punishment, it's about participation. You don't have to hold the knife to be part of the act. All you need to do is enable it. Support it, remain silent, and in doing so, you contribute to the cycle of suffering, even if your hands feel clean. That's why awareness is liberation. It's not about guilt, it's about freedom. When we start to see the world as it truly is, we unlock the power to choose differently, to live differently, to eat differently, not out of shame, but out of love. Because in the end, the question is not just, should I eat meat? The question is, can I bear to look away from suffering that I am capable of reducing? And the even deeper question is, who do I become when I stop pretending I don't know? Imagine this, you're standing in your kitchen, it's quiet, you're holding a bowl of food, warm, fragrant, nourishing. You pause, you take a deep breath, and for a brief moment, you ask not what you're eating, but how many lives touched this bowl, and more importantly, how many lives were spared because of it. This is not just eating, this is practice, this is mindfulness, this is the everyday art of compassion in action. In Buddhism, there's a beautiful phrase, eat in such a way that compassion flows from your heart. That sounds poetic, right? But it's more than just words, it's a path, a way to live with awareness, to nourish not just the body, but the soul. Every single time you sit down to eat, you're participating in something sacred, whether you realize it or not. Food is not just fuel, it's karma in motion, it's being made visible. That grain of rice, it didn't just fall from the sky, it came from the soil, from the sun, from the hands of farmers, from rain, time, labor, and life. When we eat with mindfulness, we remember this. And when we choose plant-based food, food that doesn't come from suffering, we're not just feeding ourselves, we're feeding peace into the collective, we're planting seeds of ahimsa, non-violence, into every corner of our life. Do you see the power of that by simply shifting your diet, you can turn a meal into a meditation, a sandwich into a statement, dinner into a dharma gate? Let me share a story. There was once a monk in Thailand. A Westerner came to him and asked, "What is the fastest way to practice compassion in daily life?" The monk looked at him gently and said, "Start with what you eat. If you cannot eat without causing harm, how can you speak of love?" It stunned the man. He expected something abstract, some mantra, some technique, but the answer was simple, profound, and real. Here's what we often forget: you don't need to be a monk to live a compassionate life. You don't need to retreat to a cave to transform your karma. You can start right here, right now, at the dinner table. The Buddha taught that every moment is a seed, every action is an echo, a cause, a creation. So when you choose a meal made without cruelty, you're not just avoiding harm, you're creating harmony. You're building the world you want to live in, bite by bite. Now, someone might say, but I'm just one person. What difference does it make? Let me ask you this: have you ever been touched by a single act of kindness, a stranger who helped you, a friend who listened, a gesture that made your day better? Then you already know the answer. One person can change everything. Every animal spared, every factory farm weakened, every friend inspired. It all starts with one meal, and one choice, and over time, those choices form a lifestyle. And that lifestyle becomes a light. Here's what science and Buddhism agree on: what you eat affects your energy, your mood, your clarity, your vibration. If your food comes from suffering, how can you expect your mind to be at peace? But if your food is rooted in kindness, your body becomes lighter, your mind becomes clearer, your path becomes softer, but deeper. And it's not about perfection, it's about intention. Nobody is asking you to become a saint overnight, but the Buddha would ask, are you awake in this moment? Are you aware of your actions? And are your actions leading to less suffering? Or more? Eating with compassion doesn't require a label. You don't need to call yourself vegan or vegetarian or Buddhist. You just need to ask, before every bite, does this support life, or take it? That one question can open the gates of liberation. Thich Nhat Hanh said, with each meal, We can walk gently on the earth. With each meal, we can nourish not only ourselves, but the seeds of peace. So next time you eat, don't just ask, is this delicious? Ask, is this kind? Because kindness, served on a plate, can become the most powerful prayer. Let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to carry invisible burdens? Why misfortunes seem to follow them, like shadows that never leave, while others walk through life with unexpected ease? We often search for answers in stars, in luck, or in fate, but the Buddha would ask you to look elsewhere, not to the sky, not even to your past, but to something as close as your next meal. In Buddhism, karma is not punishment, it's not some divine revenge system waiting to catch you, it's cause and effect, pure, precise, unbiased. Every thought you think, every word you say, every action you take, they're seeds, and seeds don't ask if you're good or bad. They just grow into results. Now imagine this, you sit down for lunch, on your plate is a piece of meat, maybe chicken, beef, pork, something you've eaten 100 times before, but pause, beneath the flavor, there's a story, a life, a being that wanted to live, a moment of fear, a breath that was taken, and that life, that moment, that suffering, it didn't vanish, it became part of a chain of causes and conditions, and you just stepped into it. The karma is not just in the eating, it's in the intention. Were you aware? Were you conscious? Did you choose, or just follow habit? This is where destiny begins to change. Let me tell you a story from the Buddhist time. There was once a butcher named Sukara. He provided meat to the entire village. His family grew rich. He was respected, even feared, but as he aged, strange things happened. He suffered from chronic nightmares, animals chasing him, his health declined, his children turned bitter, his wealth faded. He went to a monk for help. The monk didn't speak of hells or punishments. He simply asked, when you kill with your hands, what does it do to your heart? The butcher broke into tears, for the first time in decades. He felt the weight of his choices. This is karma, not as superstition, but as emotional imprint, energetic residue. When we consume the results of violence, some part of that vibration enters us. It affects our mood, our sleep, our capacity to feel joy or peace, and over time, those tiny disturbances become patterns, those patterns become tendencies, and tendencies become destiny. Now imagine the opposite. You eat a meal grown from the earth, no blood, no screams, no stolen life, just sunlight, rain, and time. Your body digests peace. Your heart feels light, your mind becomes clear, and from that clarity, you begin to make better decisions, not just with food, but with everything. That's karma, too, good karma. So you see, karma is not only built in temples or meditation halls. It's built in supermarkets, in kitchens, in lunch breaks. Your plate is your path. It can lead to more confusion, or more compassion. It can bind you to cycles of pain, or set you free. Thich Nhat Hanh once said, if we are mindful of the food on our plate, we can see the whole universe in it. The rain clouds, the soil, the farmer, the delivery truck, the cook, the suffering, the joy, and if we can see the universe, we can begin to choose with reverence. Someone once asked, is eating meat really such a big deal? Let's flip the question. If you could avoid causing pain, if you could eat in a way that promotes healing, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you use every meal as a way to purify your karma, to lighten your load, to create a ripple of peace in a noisy world? Remember, karma isn't just about past lives, it's about this moment, right here. Right now, what you put on your plate, goes into your body. What enters your body, affects your consciousness, and your consciousness, shapes your future. Eating with mindfulness, with kindness, with awareness, that's how you rewrite your karma. That's how you reclaim your destiny, not tomorrow, not in your next life, but today, with your next bite. Imagine this, you walk into your kitchen not with hunger, but with reverence. You look at the food in your hands, a bowl of rice, some steamed vegetables, a bit of tofu, no screams, no blood, just life. Offered without suffering. This is not just a meal, this is a ceremony of compassion. To eat like a Bodhisattva, is to eat with the intention to awaken, not only to nourish your body, but to nourish peace in the world. A bodhisattva doesn't eat just for themselves, they eat for all beings. They eat in a way that lessens suffering, that honors the interconnectedness of all life. They chew slowly, they breathe deeply, and with each bite, they whisper in silence, "May all beings be free from harm." This isn't just poetic, it's powerful spiritual practice, because what you put on your plate becomes part of what you offer to the world. A plant-based meal is not just food, it's a silent prayer, it's an act of love, it's a small revolution against a culture of cruelty, and each time you make that choice, you align your life with the great vow of the Bodhisattva, "I vow to save all beings." Even if that vow begins with something as simple as lunch. So what happens when you eat this way? Your mind becomes clearer, your heart becomes softer, your compassion becomes deeper, and with time, your presence becomes so gentle that others feel safe around you. Like a calm pond where people come to rest, the Buddha once said, "The wise man, knowing that the body is the seat of suffering, avoids taking life for the sake of taste." It's not about rules, it's not about guilt, it's about awakening. Choosing to eat in a way that uplifts the world is one of the most direct and tangible ways you can live your spiritual values, not in theory, but in practice. Let's be clear, no one is asking you to be perfect. This path is not about being rigid or judgmental, it's about being awake. Awake to your choices, awake to the lives connected to your choices, awake to the ripple effect you create. Because whether you realize it or not, you're already influencing the world, with every dollar you spend, with every bite you take, with every meal you share. So the question is, are you influencing it with wisdom and love, or with habit and forgetfulness? Let this be your moment of transformation. Not just another video you watched, but a seed that blossoms into real change. From today forward, let every meal become a meditation, let every choice become a teaching, let your plate be your path toward a world that hurts less and loves more. And if this message has touched something deep inside you, if something in you whispered, "Yes, this is the way I want to live," then don't keep it to yourself. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe to our channel, Zen Buddhism Wisdom, where ancient teachings meet modern life. Turn on the bell, because every week, we release new insights, new questions, and new awakenings. To walk the path together, let's build a community, not just of thinkers, but of awakened hearts. And now it's your turn. Tell us in the comments below, what does eating with compassion mean to you? Has this changed the way you see your next meal? Let's talk. Let's grow. Let's awaken, together. This isn't just the end of a video, it's the beginning of a more mindful life, because when you eat like a bodhisattva, you don't just change your body, you change the world.